And I'm walking through this history on purpose because RFK Jr. and Trump and these people are going like, well, it wasn't like this 50 years ago. No, it wasn't. And there's a reason for it.
Yes.
In 1968, they first started trying to diagnose it, but they called what we now know as autism spectrum as childhood schizophrenia.
Yes.
So when people like my mom, who started being a special ed teacher in 1969,
correct,
they knew what Down syndrome was. They had a pretty good handle on that. And
yes.
from the 60s until today, the life expectancy of Down syndrome has doubled. It's almost 1 for 1. It's just under. It's like 69.8. If you ask my mom and the special ed teachers of that era, the pioneers of special education, that's the thing they're the most proud of. It's like, hey, just letting them go to school and have normal lives, we doubled life expectancy.
Yes.
But the autism spectrum kids, they had them. They were in their class. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what to call it, because in 68, they diagnosed this as childhood schizophrenia, and it became a condition where people were institutionalized. Yes. And it wasn't until the institutions went away in the 80s and we went to what we now call rehab or inpatient, that thing. When the institutions started going away in the 80s and were completely gone by the early 90s, that's when autism actually started getting studied, because before that, if your kid had childhood schizophrenia, they just were institutionalizing them. It put everything back 20, 30 years.
Thank you so much for you just teed up what I was going to say, so I really appreciate you. So it's that is so important, because when RFK Jr. says there are no homes, you never saw people with full-blown autism, in the streets, things like that. It's like, there are no homes. It's like, yeah, Mr. Secretary, it was because they were classified as schizophrenic. It's funny. So one of my good friends, it's somebody who's become a friend of mine, David Mandel, who's a doctor over at the University of Pennsylvania. He's actually done research into this, and he went through a lot of the archives at one of the state hospitals in Pennsylvania, and he found that he looked at the case studies and the case files, and he found that a lot of the people who would now be classified as autistic were in those state hospitals and state institutions. It's just that we thought they had mental disorders, we thought they had schizophrenia. So the other thing is that a lot of them were previously diagnosed as just having an intellectual disability, what we would then call mental retardation. So it's important to remember that this was misclassification. It's also important to remember that many girls went undiagnosed. A lot of people of color, a lot of Black children were diagnosed as having oppositional defiant disorder or behavioral disorders. So the closing of the gap is so important to contextualize what the study